Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. The Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jayan Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Padavajaka Ashtotar Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Padavajaka Ashtotar Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. I think we're on text 22. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 20th day of August, 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are reading from chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute, text 22, on the bottom of page 331. Sataya, Shraddhaya, yuktas tasyaradhanam ihate labate chatatah kaman mayaiva vihitan hitan. You want to move that over there? Okay. Hare Krishna. We're on page 331, Sureshwar. Oh, very good. They're in the lounge, actually. Okay. Okay, text 22, page 331. Okay. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasyaradhanamihate Labate Chatatakaman Mayaiva Vihitanitan. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasyaradhanamihate Labate Chatatakaman Mayaiva Vihitanitan. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasyaradhanamihate Labate Chatatakaman Mayaiva Vihitanitan. Ladies. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasyaradhanamihate Labate Chatatakaman Mayaiva Vihitanitan. Chad, are you there?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas
Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas
Tasyaradhanamihate
Tasyaradhanamihate
Labate Chatatakaman
Labate Chatatakaman
Mayaiva Vihitanitan.
Mayaiva Vihitanitan. Thank you. Anyone else?
Tapas Prabhu's on. Yeah.
Who is it?
Tapas is on also.
Tapas. Let's hear it.
Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas
Tasataya Shraddhaya Yuktas
Tasyaradhanam ihate
Tasyaradhanam iyate
Labhate cha tata kaman
Labate Chatatakaman
Maiva vihitan hitan.
Mayaiva Vihitanitan. Okay, with the words. Saha, he, taya, with that, Shraddhaya, inspiration, Yuktaha, endowed, tasya, of that demigod, Aradhanam, for the worship, Ihate, he aspires, Labate, obtains, cha, and tataha, from that, Kaman, his desires, Maya, by me, Eva alone, Vihitan, arranged, he certainly, tan, those. Translation. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. So I'm going to go back a couple of verses because he's talking about the demigod worshippers. I'm just going to start in text 20, read the translation to that in the next verse. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. I am in everyone's heart as the Supersoul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. And in today's verse, endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Purport. The demigods cannot award benedictions to their devotees without the permission of the Supreme Lord. The living entity may forget that everything is the property of the Supreme Lord, but the demigods do not forget. So the worship of demigods and the achievement of desired results are due not to the demigods, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by arrangement. The less intelligent living entity does not know this, and therefore he foolishly goes to the demigods for some benefit. But the pure devotee, when in need of something, prays only to the Supreme Lord. Asking for material benefit, however, is not a sign of a pure devotee. A living entity goes to the demigods usually because he is mad to fulfill his lust. This happens when something undue is desired by the living entity, and the Lord himself does not fulfill the desire. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that one who worships the Supreme Lord and at the same time desires material enjoyment is contradictory in his desires. Devotional service to the Supreme Lord and the worship of a demigod cannot be on the same platform, because worship of a demigod is material, and devotional service to the Supreme Lord is completely spiritual. For the living entity who desires to return to Godhead, material desires are impediments. A pure devotee of the Lord is therefore not awarded the material benefits desired by less intelligent living entities, who therefore prefer to worship demigods of the material world rather than engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, I'd like to focus on one aspect here which is key, and which is key to practice of devotional service as well as the worship of the demigods. And that is faith. Faith. If they didn't have any faith in the demigod that they're worshiping, they wouldn't worship him. Right? And that's why Krishna says, the key verse is text 20, those whose knowledge has been stolen by material desire. You see? The vairagya accompanies jnana, knowledge. But that's detachment, right? Vairagya vidya nija bhakti yoga. But the opposite is also true, that material desires, surrendering to them and trying to fulfill them, is fueled and produces ignorance. But it's both, whether you're struggling hard to get material desires fulfilled by just ordinary material means or by worshiping the demigods, either way, you have faith in that process. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. You've read in a book that it works, or you know somebody who got rich by worshiping Durga or whatever, so that works, so let me try it. So you have some faith, right? So faith underlies everything, and we should also know that it also is an essential component of bhakti. There's this very nice verse, which I'm sure you're familiar with, in which Rupa Goswami, he describes the ladder, the progression of bhakti from faith, shraddha, to prema. So it said, adhau shraddha, in the beginning there has to be faith. Adhau shraddha tatak sadhu sangha, tabhajana kriya, tato anarta nivritti sa, tato nishta ruchis tatas. Tata nishta ruchis tatas, tata saktas, tata bhava, tata prema abhyujandati, sadhakanam ayam premna, prado bhavet krama. These are the steps. So it begins with faith. Now how does that faith arise? Because we're here in the material world, life after life, and we don't have faith. We don't worship Krishna, we may not even be human beings, so we're kind of trapped. But when we come to the human form of life, then faith has essential meaning, because we can do things in faith of what we can't immediately see. You remember that I brought this up in the second chapter, first canto. There's the verse, the answers to the questions of the sages. What is that dharma by which the soul can be completely satisfied? And the first answer is savai pangsang paro dharmo, the supreme dharma, paro dharma, yato bhaktir arhokshaje. Ahaitukiya pratayata yeyatma suprasidati. So he says that that dharma, which can ultimately result in full bliss and happiness for the soul, is that which engenders, which nourishes the development of bhakti, devotional service, to adhokshaja. Now, adhokshaja is a name for Krishna, which means the transcendental Lord. Hare Krishna. Yeah, we got the place all to ourselves. If you want, you can set up over on this side, and whatever you want to do. We're on, actually, we're studying chapter 7, text 28, 21, and 22. We read 22 today. And we're going to go on. But I'm just describing that famous verse. You may know it. Adhau Shuddhata Taksaru Sangha, the step-by-step that Rupa Goswami gives from faith to prema, from Shraddha to prema. So here in the worship of the demigods, faith is also essential. Because if you don't have faith in the demigod, you're not going to worship, right? So Krishna says, when once Yo yo yam yam tuna bhakta shraddha architamichiti. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Now, if we want to worship Krishna, he'll also make our faith steady in that. But he's talking about demigod worship. So when you turn to bhakti, it all begins with faith also. Not the pure faith that's described by Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami, where he defines real mature faith. Shraddha shabde vishwas kohe suddha nishtoy Krishna bhakti korle sarva karma krita hoy. That real faith consists of this. Shraddha shabde vishwas kohe, a very firm conviction that cannot be suddha nishtoy. Faith that what? That just by engaging in the activities of bhakti yoga, Krishna consciousness, all my aspirations will be fulfilled. I don't have to do anything else. That's a firm faith, you see. But the faith that begins getting onto the stairs is not that faith. That's respect, interest, enough to bring you into the association of devotees. Let me check it out, you see. That kind of preliminary faith. And in the association of genuine devotees, by hearing and engaging and seeing the deity and so forth, your faith grows. So then you want to do some activity like chanting Hare Krishna. Adav Shraddha tak saru sangha, and then bhajana kriya. Bhajana kriya, chanting, etc. And by that bhajana kriya, if you're doing it nicely, then you're becoming more and more enlivened, and you want to take initiation. Essential. Bhajana kriya. Adav Shraddha tak saru sangha, bhajana kriya, tato anartha nivriti. Now that anartha nivriti process, that depends on how sincere and determined we are, that we can get rid of our anarthas. The anarthas of all these countless desires that we built up over so many births, and our karma that's also holding us down. But the process of devotional service can wipe away that karma. Actually, just by walking around Tulsi, you can get free from all your, remember? Tani tani chapapani. So the process of devotional service, as Lord Chaitanya begins, is Shikshastra Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, is the process of cleansing the heart. So the faith is essential in any activity. Even if you're just doing some mundane, you have some mundane aspiration, you go up, and your parents say, yes, you have to work hard in school so that you can get through a nice, get into a nice college, right? Why? So you'll be a success in life. You'll be able to get a good job and so forth. So you have to have faith. Well, that's, and you can your faith can be nourished by hearing others who are older than you who did that, and reading books and so forth. But that's faith in Maya. She's also very skilled at attracting your attention and revving you up to think, yeah, if I just do this, then I can really enjoy, But it's all an illusion for Maya. So that's why association is so important, especially with a pure devotee. So back to the verses now. So he's describing how one gets entangled in deity worship. Kamaistaista riddha varieties of lusty desires, of material desires, steal away one's transcendental knowledge, riddha. And they surrender to other demigods, other devas beside me, Krishna says. they follow particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. And whatever demigod they want to worship, I make their faith strong. And with that faith, they then practice the worship. But actually, whatever they get from the demigods, it's actually coming from me. I'm empowering the demigods to give them the benediction. Okay, so let's go to 23. This is one of two places where Krishna roundly criticizes and condemns deity worship.
I have a doubt.
Hello?
I have a doubt.
A doubt. Yes. Oh, let me see what we can do.
Yeah, in 20, text 20.
20?
It is Anya Devata. The other, its translation also is other gods.
Yeah,
but why
besides me.
It is demigod.
Huh? Why does it say demigods?
Yeah, it's Anya Devata. In Sanskrit, it's Anya Devata.
Yeah, I see it, Anya Devata. So,
but translation is demigod.
Yes, because if you say other demigods in the translation, then it sounds
gods.
Like other gods.
Yeah,
Devata
means god.
No, it says other demigods in the word for word. In the translation, it doesn't say other. They surrender unto. Is that what your book says?
Anya is other.
And you have it in the translation?
No, not in the translation. Word to word.
Yes, Anya Devata, other demigods.
Devata, Anya
yes,
means
that's
other.
it. In other words, that sounds like Krishna's a demigod. That's what you're saying. It implies that in English.
No. Krishna is not other demigod. I'm asking that other devatas. Other devatas.
Yes, besides me. The point is, it's a little stretching the whole language. You have to understand. In other words, Krishna is saying Deva in general, includes me. I'm a Deva, the Supreme Deva. Mm. So that's where the other the Anya has to do with, besides me, they're worshiping God, but not they're worshiping the Supreme God, they're worshiping the demigods. And so that's where the Anya comes in. They're worshiping, instead of worshiping me, they're worshiping the demigods, other gods, the millions of them.
Other gods.
Yes, other gods.
Other gods is translated into demigods.
Yes. Yes, Deva. Generally, the Devas in general means the demigods, or ultimately Deva, the god of gods, Krishna. Yeah. So there's a little leeway there, in the language. Okay. Admittedly, I can see how oh, wait a minute, other demigods, that implies that Krishna's a demigod. But he's not. He's the supreme god of gods. All right, let's go on, text 23, page 332. Andavatu balantesham Tadbhavalt Yalpamedasam. Are you there, Ami? Yeah, we're on text 23. Okay. Devan Devya Joyanti Madbhakta Yanti Mamapi. Okay, so now he concludes his argument against the demigod worship. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Purport. Some commentators on the Bhagavad Gita say that one who worships a demigod can reach the Supreme Lord. But here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated. Just as a worshipper of the sun achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of the moon achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship a demigod like Indra, he can attain that particular god, small g, God's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is denied here. For it is clearly stated that the worshippers of the demigods go to different planets in the material world, but the devotee of the Supreme Lord goes directly to the Supreme Planet of the Personality of Godhead. Here the point may be raised that if the demigods are different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, then the same end should be achieved by worshipping them. However, worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent because they don't know to what part of the body food must be supplied. Some of them are so foolish that they claim that there are many parts and many ways to supply food. This isn't very sanguine, meaning intelligent. Can anyone supply food to the body through the ears or eyes? They do not know that these demigods are different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord, and in their ignorance they believe that each and every demigod is a separate god, capital G, and a competitor of the Supreme Lord. Not only are the demigods parts of the Supreme Lord, but ordinary living entities are also. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated that the Brahmins are the head of the Supreme Lord, the Kshatriyas are his arms, the Vaishyas are his waist, the Shudras are his legs, and all serve different functions. Regardless of the situation, if one knows that both the demigods and he himself are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his knowledge is perfect. But if it does not understand this, he achieves different planets where the demigods reside. This is not the same destination that the devotee reaches. The results achieved by the demigods' benedictions are perishable, because within this material world, the planets, the demigods, and their worshippers are all perishable. Therefore, it is clearly stated in this verse that all results achieved by worshipping demigods are perishable, and therefore such worship is performed by the less intelligent living entities. Because the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness in devotional service of the Supreme Lord achieves eternal blissful existence that is full of knowledge, his achievements and those of the common worshipper of the demigods are different. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. His favor is unlimited. His mercy is unlimited. Therefore, the mercy of the Supreme Lord upon his pure devotees is unlimited. So just let's look at contemplate this verse a minute. First of all, antavattu palam tesham. But Prabhupada is explaining that. They're a latter part of the purport. Hare Krishna. Welcome. We're on page 332, 333. So antavat means it ends. That alone is disqualification. No matter how good it may be, you go to the planets of Indra and you enjoy like anything, dancing with the nymphs or whatever. But it ends. So if we're really after ultimate happiness, it can't end. We were talking about this last night or the previous night. Sukham akshayam ashnute. You remember that phrase? It's simple. Sukham akshayam. Unbroken happiness they enjoy. Who? Those who renounce or are detached from temporary fleeting sense gratification, and they are bayasparshesu asaktatma vindatyatmaniyat sukham. They were enjoying the happiness within by contacting Krishna. He's within their heart all the time. Sab-Brahma yoga yuktatma. They're always linked up in yoga, bhakti yoga, to the Supreme Brahman, Krishna. And therefore, sukham akshayam ashnute. Where is that coming from? Is it here? It must be in there. Anyway, see if you can. Yeah, it's good to see if they're in there. And tell them, ask them to be quiet. So, sukham akshayam ashnute, this is distinct from sense gratification. Akshaya means it doesn't break, it doesn't end. If we can reestablish our connection with Krishna, then since he's all-pervading, he's in our heart, he's everywhere, we can always contact him. We can always be in service and contemplating him. And it's not like sense gratification, where inevitably your contact with the object of the sense of gratification or your ability to enjoy it comes down to nil, because your body is limited, the senses are limited, and it's all bound by time. So that's the attraction, But of course it requires faith, because it's completely beyond our ability to understand with our present senses. So that's also dealt with. Atak Shri Krishna namani nabave grayam indriyai. Sevan mukhe jivado swayam eva spuratyada. That with our present senses and mind, we can't understand the real nature of the holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna. But if we begin to serve with the tongue, by chanting, of course hearing, and tasting Krishna Prasad, then eventually, if we pursue the process completely, Krishna will reveal himself progressively to us. This is the whole idea. It's all by revelation. We can't storm the battlements and say, where's God? Prabhupada, in the early days, people would come and Prabhupada would always, in the early lectures, have you seen God? Can you show me God? And so he would always say, do you have the eyes to see God? That's the point. The vision has been beclouded by Maya and by, so that pure vision has to be there. And what's that famous verse? Premanjana chutita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva didiyeshu vilokayanti yang shyam sundadamachindugana sarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So Premanjana, who remembers what that means? Yes. Yeah, well, in this case, it means the salve. It's an ointment to cure the eyes, the vision. So that's the ointment of prema, of love, you see. So then that takes over your whole consciousness. You're seeing everything. You're seeing Krishna everywhere. And it's always just, you're in bliss, I mean, it doesn't have to stop. We always think it stopped. We're so conditioned after millions of births in this material world that everything is temporary. Doesn't matter what it is, But the fact is that you're not temporary. You yourself are eternal. You keep in this very body, right? This is the Dehinos Minyatadi. We're transmigrating. From childhood to youth, adolescence, on and on and on, finally to old age, right? So the body's changing all the time, but you're not changing. You're the same person you were 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and in my case, 70 years ago. The person is the same. The body has changed, the mind has changed, and therefore you feel like a different person, but you're not. So our original nature, we're part and parcel of Krishna, so we have his nature in minute degree. And our constitutional position, as explained very distinctly by Lord Chaitanya, Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Krishnera Tatasta Shakti Beda Beda Prakash. So the eternal Swarup is our real eternal nature, is to be a servant of Krishna. Jiva Swarup Krishnera Nityadas. And then he says, the next part is very important. Krishnera Tatasta Shakti. We are the marginal energy of Krishna. We're spiritual energy, but we have the tendency to be enthralled by the material energy, to turn away from Krishna. It's described very graphically in this verse that Prabhupada would often quote. What's the origin of fear? Well, as soon as you forget your connection with Krishna, you're not surrendered to him, you're not under his protection, then fear comes. So it's described in this verse. Starts out, Bhayam. That's the first word of the verse. Bhayam dvitiyabhanaveshitak syad ishad apetasya viparhiyo asmati tanmahayato buddha abhajetam bhaktyakayesham guru devatatma. So he analyzes the problem, that how we turned away from Krishna and became in this world of anxiety and fearfulness, and he gives us the remedy also. So the first thing is Bhayam dvitiya anabhinaveshitak. Dvitiya is the world of duality. This material world, heat and cold, pleasure and pain, all these things, it's duality. Dvitiya abhinadeshitak, but we become enamored of it. We turn away from Krishna. Isha apetasya, the Isha is Krishna, the control. Isha apetasya, turning away and becoming absorbed in the dualities of this world. And vipariyos, everything becomes reversed. Instead of becoming our real nature as Krishna's servants, we become competitors to Krishna, you see. And our conception is all reversed, what's good, what's bad, and everything. Asmriti, because we forget everything. The curtain of Maya comes over, and for millions of births we can forget Krishna. So, how does it happen? Tanmayato, by Krishna's Maya energy. But the intelligent person, the Buddha, abhajetam, turns back to Krishna and starts worshipping him. How? Bhaktyakayesham, with one-pointed, serious devotion. You see, Bhaktyakayesham. And a very important point, Guru Devatatma, seeing one's preceptor, we all need a preceptor, as one's worshipable Lord and representative of Krishna. So this verse is very often quoted. And there's so much in there. There's the diagnosis of the disease and also the remedy is in that one disease. So here Krishna winds up his criticism of demigod worshippers. Antavatu palam. The fruit of it is temporary. If you go to Indraloka, chapter 9, he has the second blast of the Devi. Tetam bhukva svargalokam vishalam. If you get up there, then you can enjoy. Vishala means very wide and long-term happiness, dancing with the nymphs in Nandanana garden. Tetam svargalokam. But chine punye, once your pious credits are used up, Chene martya lokam bishanti. Then you get thrown down again to this material world, to this world of more duality. And therefore he says, Evam tri dhammam, by worshipping me according to the three Vedas, the Karma Kanda, you're just going and coming. Gatagatam, kama kama labanti, trying to fulfill these material desires. You know. So therefore there's no percentage in it. Okay, so let's go on. What does Krishna say in text 24? Avyaktam vyaktamapannam manyante ma mabuddhayaha padambhav majananto mamavyayam manuttamam. Unintelligent men. This means that ladies are by nature more intelligent, because here's this unintelligent man. I'm just kidding. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. Purport: those who are worshippers of demigods have been described as less intelligent persons, and here the impersonalists are similarly described. Lord Krishna in his personal form is here speaking before Arjuna. And still, due to ignorance, impersonalists argue that the Supreme Lord ultimately has no form. Yamunacharya, a great devotee of the Lord in the disciplic succession of Ramanujacharya, has written a very appropriate verse in this connection. He says, Tvam Shila Rupa Charitai Paramaprakristai Satvena Satvikataya Prabalaishta Shastrai Prakyata Daiva Paramartha Vidham Mataischa Naivasada Prakutaya Prabhavanti Bodham. My dear Lord, devotees like Vyasadeva and Narada know you to be the personality of Godhead. By understanding different Vedic literatures, one can come to know your characteristics, your form, and your activities. And one can thus understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, the demons, the non-devotees, cannot understand you. They're unable to understand you. However expert such non-devotees may be in discussing Vedanta and the Upanishads and other Vedic literatures, it is not possible for them to understand the personality of Godhead. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the personality of Godhead cannot be understood simply by study of the Vedanta literature. Only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord can the personality of the Supreme be known. Therefore, in this verse, it is clearly stated that not only are the worshippers of the demigods less intelligent, but those non-devotees who are engaged in Vedanta and speculation on Vedic literature without any tinge of true Krishna consciousness are also less intelligent. And for them, it is not possible to understand God's personal nature. Persons who are under the impression that the Absolute Truth is impersonal are described as abuddhaya, which means that those who do not know the ultimate feature of the Absolute Truth. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that supreme realization begins from the impersonal Brahman and then rises to the localized Supersoul. But the ultimate word in the Absolute Truth is the personality of Godhead. Modern impersonalists are still less intelligent, for they do not even follow their great predecessor Shankaracharya, who has specifically stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Impersonalists, therefore, not knowing the Supreme Truth, think Krishna to be only the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, or a prince or a powerful living entity. This is also condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 9:11, Avajananti mamudha manushim tanamashritam. Only the fools regard me as an ordinary person. The fact is that no one can understand Krishna without rendering devotional service and without developing Krishna consciousness. The Bhagavatam 10:14-29 confirms this. This is Brahma's prayer, one of Brahma's prayers. Atapite deva padambajadvaya pasara leshanuga ita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya eko pichadam vichinvan. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, we can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. Close quote. One cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his form, qualities, or name simply by mental speculation or by discussing Vedic literature. One must understand him by devotional service. When one is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, beginning by chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then only can one understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Non-devotee impersonalists think that Krishna has a body made of this material nature, and that all his activities, his form, and everything are Maya. These impersonalists are known as Mayavadis. They do not know the ultimate truth. The 20th verse clearly states, Kamais taistai riddhagyana. This was the beginning of this lesson against deity worship. Kamais taistai riddhagyana papadyante anya devata. Those who are blinded by lusty desires surrender unto the different demigods. Okay. Sorry. It is accepted that besides the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are demigods who have their different planets, and the Lord also has a planet, as stated in the 23rd verse, Devan Devi Ajo Yanti, Madbhakta Yanti Mamapi. The worshippers of the demigods go to the different planets of the demigods, and those who are devotees of the Lord Krishna go to Krishna Loka planet. Although this is clearly stated, the foolish impersonalists still maintain that the Lord is formless and that these forms are impositions. From the study of the Gita, does it appear that the demigods and their abodes are impersonal? Clearly, neither the demigods nor Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are impersonal. They are all persons. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has his own planet, and the demigods have theirs. Therefore, the monistic contention that ultimate truth is formless and that form is imposed does not hold true. It is clearly stated here that it is not imposed. From the Bhagavad Gita, we can clearly understand that the forms of the demigods and the forms of the Supreme Lord are simultaneously existing, and that Lord Krishna is Satchidananda, eternal blissful knowledge. The Vedic literature confirms that the Supreme Absolute Truth is knowledge and blissful pleasure, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 3:9-28, and that he is the reservoir of unlimited auspicious qualities, Ananda Kalyana Gunatma Kosal, the Vishnu Purana 6:584. And in the Gita, the Lord says that although he is Aja, unborn, he still appears. These are the facts that we should understand from the Bhagavad Gita. We cannot understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be impersonal. The imposition theory of the impersonalist monist is false as far as the statements of the Gita are concerned. It is clear herein that the Supreme Absolute Truth, Lord Krishna, has both form and personality. So, that's one thing that I think we sometimes neglect, and that is a really good source of founding and strengthening our faith is to contemplate all of the, not even all, but the leading members of our parampara. If this isn't true, then we're implying that we think, and that this is true, that Krishna exists, that there's a Goloka Vrindavan, that all of this philosophy is true. That it implies that we're thinking that great stalwarts, beginning with Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Madhvacharya, all this list that you'll find at the end of the introduction here, these are all serious, towering intellects, many of them, and all full-on devotees who believed all this. So who are we not to believe it? In other words, this is an important way of nourishing our faith, that we understand that this is mysterious, it's beyond our ability to understand. There are many things that are, yeah, you can sit right here. Would you like to sit just for a few minutes? Yeah. We're actually, we're on page 336, and we probably get to read the next verse, 25. So, just back to the faith aspect, because that's a pivotal question. And here we're in touch with Prabhupada, we're hearing him, we're associating with him through his words, which is the most important way of association. And there's no doubt coming in here. Maybe it's this way, maybe it's that way. It's true, he's repeating so much of what he's saying here is from the commentaries and everything, but he's realized it all. So, And his spiritual master also was an towering intellect, amazingly intelligent. He remembered everything he ever read. I mean, that's just inconceivable. He read something and he could recall it 50 years later. Towering. So he's full on 100% devotee. He believes all of these things that seem so mysterious. So what I'm trying to say is that in the association, and we have their association through their words, and clearly so much faith and conviction here, that these stories, admittedly, they're amazing. I mean, a huge fish. How long was Matsya? I don't know, 1,000 miles long. How about the turtle incarnation? I call them the turtle incarnation because turtles are in the water, tortoises are on land. But anyway, you know what I mean. It all sounds, really? You expect me to believe that? But hey, this is taken as absolute truth by our acharyas who have realized it. So that's a very important foundation of our faith. And if we act on that faith, we won't be disappointed. All right, these verses, they're all very often quoted. Text 25. Naham prakasha sarvasya. This is the bottom of page 336, if you're interested there. Yoga maya samavritaha. Mudhoyam nabhijanati. Loko mamajamabhyayam. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and inexhaustible. Purport. It may be argued that since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, then how can it be said that he is not manifest to everyone? But actually, he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present, there were only a few people who could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the assembly of the Kurus, when Shishupal spoke against Krishna's being elected president of the assembly, Bhishma supported Krishna and proclaimed him to be the Supreme God. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was the Supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non-devotees and the common man. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, but for his pure devotees, all men consider him to be like themselves. He was manifest only to his devotees as the reservoir of all pleasure. But to others, to unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his internal potency. In the prayers of Kunti in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.19, it is said that the Lord is covered by the curtain of Yogamaya, and thus ordinary people cannot understand him. This Yogamaya curtain is confirmed in the Ishopanishad Mantra 15, in which the devotee prays. I'll say, you say, Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitang mukham tatram pushan apavanu satya dharmaya drishtaye. O my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yoga Maya. The Brahmajyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Satchidananda Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge. Close quote. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his transcendental form of bliss and knowledge is covered by the internal potency of the Brahmajyoti, and the less intelligent impersonalists cannot see the Supreme on this account. Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.7, there is this prayer by Brahma. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastimes in this world? You are always expanding your internal potency, and therefore no one can understand you. Learned scientists and learned scholars can examine the atomic constitution of the material world, or even the planets, but still they are unable to calculate your energy and potency, although you are present before them. Close quote. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is not only unborn, but also avyaya, inexhaustible. His eternal form is bliss and knowledge, and his energies are all inexhaustible. So this is another often quoted verse, that Krishna doesn't just manifest himself to everyone and anyone and everyone, you know. Now, in the modern age, you know, which is Lord Chaitanya's age of preaching, he specifically goes out, you know, he goes out and preaches Hare Krishna mantra everywhere. And after all, he is Krishna. But who could really recognize him as such? His intimate devotees, you see. But the point is that Krishna has made himself super accessible through this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. But because it's available to everyone. It's specifically no fee, you know, here's this card. You remember we used to print up all these cards, chant this mantra, and your life will be sublime, right? So, in a sense, Krishna is stepping out. It's like an intervention, you know. If someone is completely under the thrall of alcohol, of some drug or something, you know, he needs an intervention by somebody who really cares for him to say, listen, you're killing yourself, you're ruining your marriage, you know, and everything. Come with me. You're going to do rehab, right? And rehab is a controlled environment, right, where you have to get away from the thing and to get strength from others and somehow, you know, get back in the line. So we're like that in this Kali Yuga. There's so much lying going on. You know, talk about faith. You know, people. You know, they go down some rabbit hole, some speculation of what's going on and who's responsible, and you know, and you can get your faith can be taken in that direction. That faith is all important. Oh, now I understand why I feel so miserable. It's because this person has been in control of the television or whatever. You know, a million different things can be. So with all this confusion, Krishna consciousness is so steady. You know, Prabhupada he had it through realization. He was simply writing down what he was experiencing. It's so important. In my little offering, you know, this year, there's this Prabhupada tributes book where the Prabhupada disciples can write, you know. There's really, you know, only a couple of hundred who write each year. There's 5,000 that were Prabhupada initiated. But anyway, so they write to me and remind me, please write an offering for it. So I did. So I wrote an appreciation of the recordings that we have of Prabhupada's voice. Because there's this purport in the fourth canto where Prabhupada talks about how the very sound of the voice, the actual hearing the person speak, the pure devotee speak, is very powerful because his voice is carrying the saffron mercy particles from Krishna's lotus feet. It's very poetic. And so I always remember that. And I remember in the early days, I joined in '73, there wasn't all of this internet and everything, you know. And we'd always hear the cassette tape playing in the halls in the temple in Brooklyn, you know. That would be another thing. And so you'd have Prabhupada's presence there all the time, you know. And of course we'd read in the Krishna book at night before we take rest with milk, you know. So it was and what's so powerful about it, there's no doubt. It's not like, well, it could be this way, that way, you know, we'll find out. But he's quoting from so many shastra here. You can see these purports are so powerful. So he's trying to say this is the real truth. Yes, it's a great mystery. It may not comport with anything you think you know about this world, but you should understand that there's a person who is the supreme controller, and he's present everywhere as a super soul. He's even in your heart, you know. But don't worry, he's your ever well wisher. He's your best friend, although he's in your heart and he knows everything. There's the peace formula? Bhoktaram yagitapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantam richati. This is the very end of the 5th chapter in Bhagavad Gita. So he says, I am the enjoyer of all the sacrifices. Sarvaloka maheshwaram. I am the supreme controller of all worlds. I am also within the heart of everyone, and I know everything. What is it? Suridam sarvabhutanam. But I am the best well-wishing friend of every living entity. Yes, Krishna is in our heart. He knows what we're thinking. He's trying to give us good advice. But he's our best well-wishing friend. He's not trying to exploit us. It's not like the secret CIA or something spying on you. Yeah, they're trying to know everything about you, but they're not your ever well-wisher. You know. They suspect you of some crime, whatever. So it's encouraging to know that. And here's this actual human being, Srila Prabhupada, who preached this amazing philosophy and gave us the means by which we could clear our minds and become pure. So Krishna from within would encourage us and say, reveal it. So we're very fortunate to have all these advantages. We should take advantage of it. All right, I'm going to stop there, but I think there's a time for at least one short poem, if it's okay. Okay, I see there's a little bug there, so we don't want to crush him. All right, so here's a nice meditation on Krishna entering the forest of Vrindavan with his friends, and the gopis are looking on, and this is the beginning of the Venu Gita chapter. So it's Barhapidam Natabadavapu Karnayo Karnikaram Bibradvasak Kanaka Kapisham Vaijayantin Shamalam Randran Veno Adadasudaya Puriyan Gopa Vrindaya Vrindaranyam Swapadanamanam Pravishad Gita Kirtihi. With lovely peacock plume upon his head and fragrant flower placed upon each ear, he enters Braja's woods with graceful tread, a handsome dancing actor without peer. His golden yellow raiment brightly glows, his splendid garland reaches to his knees, and from his luscious lips the nectar flows, and fills his flute with charming melodies. As Krishna thus begins his blissful day, with cowherd friends who sing his glory sweet, he beautifies Vrindavan's forest way with fine impressions of his lotus feet. So that's a nice meditation. And now in a few minutes, the curtains will open and we'll have a meditation of Radha Giridhari. Thank you for your attention. We'll resume on Monday. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.